Shut up and sit down.
Welcome once again to the Shite podcast show. Mark and Ken.
What's the story?
Episode 190 of the Shite podcast show.
We hope.
We really do hope. I think it's 190. I'm not too sure though. Let's hope I didn't fuck this up. And it's actually 189.
It won't be the first time.
No, I had a quick look there at our recorded episodes, and I just spotted 189. That was last week.
No, we're okay then.
Interestingly enough, one of our stories is about basically being autopilot while driving. We are pretty much on autopilot while doing our podcast. I think that's pretty much standard us.
I kind of autopilot everything.
Yeah, in a way, because like I was meeting two of my friends for coffee before we did the podcast, and they're like, "Oh, so what's going to be on your podcast today?" And like literally an hour before that, an hour and a half before that, I had just finished my research. I was like, I don't know. So like,
stuff. We're going to talk about stuff and things and people
and other things. Yeah, that's our show. It's going to be great. So check it out.
There's going to be shite and there's going to be talk.
There's going to be people, and they're probably going to be doing one or two dumb things. And actually, before you came along, this week I had no idiots of the week. All my stories are like of people doing odd stuff, or kind of like stuff that like happens to us in everyday life. That's just what I wanted to talk about. But you've found us an idiot of the week.
There you go.
Yeah, we don't have a whole lot of idiots of the week lately. We only have like one. We only had one last week, I think.
I think with lockdown, I think we've just become desensitized to idiocy.
That is true. Or maybe they're not happening publicly. They're happening in people's houses privately.
Yeah. All the idiots have gotten arrested for breaking COVID regulations.
Yeah, or have just done dumb things within their like 5K or whatever their restrictions are.
Yeah, or they're all dead.
But they're all dead. Yeah, that is true. Other than that, we also have, and I think if any of our listeners live in an apartment, share a house, they definitely can feel this Redditor's pain. Because he got so fed up of hearing his neighbour having sex quite loudly that he stuck on the door an explanation how reverb works, as well as a USB stick full of sex noises that he can hear from his apartment. So I don't know. I think we are both lucky. We don't live in apartments or places where very thin walls that we can hear our neighbours do stuff at night. I'm pretty sure some of our listeners out there have lived through this experience or have shared houses when they're younger with their friends and have similar-ish experiences to this.
Yeah, or are currently living in that situation.
Yes, exactly. There's definitely people who currently are in that situation. We're also going to be talking about a guy who moves a country's border and caused a diplomatic incident.
Yeah.
And a man got a very odd package in the post and somehow managed to avoid being an idiot of the week after his story.
That's a shock.
Yeah, he didn't make idiot of the week. And then a final idiot of the week comes from a girl who lost her boyfriend. Quite literally lost her boyfriend. They didn't separate. But he's now missing, and she's now an idiot of the week for this reason. Like, it's a very interesting show. I have to say, we have outdone ourselves.
And we didn't even have to go near any of the stories that we had left over last week.
Yeah, no, like I just Control Alt and deleted them. We are such good at finding stories. I think we're going to mess up by talking about the stories, but our insight into finding stories, our eye for a good makes a good story. I think we're pretty spot on with that.
Yeah, we know what stories to pluck from the internet.
Yeah, we should come researchers for other people who could record the podcast. We could make a winning combination.
How to shite up your podcast.
Yes, we just fall into the talking part. Anyway, I don't know about you, but this definitely happens to me, and I never knew I had a name, and it's actually a medical recognized condition called highway hypnosis. So, have you ever been driving along a road and suddenly came to the realization that you're behind a wheel of a car or motorized vehicle, and for whatever amount of time that may be, you have no recollection of driving or of what you've done. Like, you could have ran over a load of kids. You could have had an accident, sorted out the insurance details, and are now back on the road. You have no idea. Like, you're just praying to God that you haven't passed a speed ban in the past.
It happens to me all the time.
I drive for a living, and this happens to me a lot.
Like, I get to work half the time, and I'm like, how the fuck did I get here?
Oh yeah, like I was driving home the other day, and I remember I was in the middle lane of a 3-lane national dual carriageway, and I was like, "Oh, will I pull into slow lane?" I was like, "No, I'll be stuck behind those cars," and driving along, and then I realized that I was in the slow lane. There was no cars around me, and I was coming up to my exit. I was like, had no recollection of turning in, had no recollection of what I've done, and a good 15 minutes must have passed.
Yeah, it happens to me the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good, I'd say it's 40 minutes from my house to work. And sometimes I remember getting into the car, I remember reversing out of the parking space, and then I'm at work.
That's a lot of time that passed. That's a good 20 to half an hour of you just not knowing where you've been.
Not knowing what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, I remember one time when I was learning to drive, and I was driving back from one of my friend's house, and I had to drop another one of my friends back home to Racool, and we were kind of preoccupied by a car behind us. We thought they were following us.
What were you doing?
And we got freaked out about this car. We're like, he was just obviously going the same way we were. And do you know what? It could have started with my friend goes, "Oh, that car's been behind us for a while," and then that just snowballed into 20 minutes down the line. We're like, "It's definitely following us."
I'm always paranoid about cars following me.
That probably is another medical condition. We were driving. We got to the motorway. We were driving on the motorway, and a good 15 minutes passed. And I turned to him and go, "We're going to Nace." He goes, "No, Mark, we're going to Racool." And I go, no, we're going to Nace. And you know that golf cart that you see on the side of the Nace Road? I could see that passing us. I had no recollection. Like I said, I was driving for a good 15 minutes. That one, I was heading in the completely wrong direction. And I was just like, I'm so glad I'm on the side of the road where the cars are going in the same direction as me. And I didn't somehow manage to go down the wrong side of an exit.
I think that happens, do you ever, when you're used to just going a certain way?
Yeah.
And then you need to change it. Something happens and you have to change what way you're going. And then you're like, oh, no way, hang on, I'm going the wrong. For ages when I moved out home, I'd be coming home from work. And then next time I'm like, why the fuck am I driving towards my man's house?
Yeah, no, we thought it was the car behind us. We thought, oh my god, that car behind us had magical powers.
That was Mark's first arrest.
Go home. And I told my parents, they're like, "Did you drive down the wrong side of the motorway?" And it's like, "No, I didn't. I was on the right road." And it's just like, all right, once you didn't endanger people, that was grand.
Once you didn't endanger people, it's fine.
Yeah, so this all popped up because of a Reddit group called Today I Learned, and one person wrote on this that highway hypnosis is an altered mental state in which a person can safely drive an automobile great distances without no recollection of having been driving at all. They said it's the manufacturing of the whatever. It's basically manufacturing of the subconscious and the conscious concentrating on two completely separate things. So your subconscious is driving a car and your conscious is wandered off down some daydream that you've been talking.
It's just gone for a stroll.
Gone for a stroll. You're now like picturing yourself like Coke Park on the 45-meter line with only like 30 seconds left to go, even though you don't follow gas.
But who cares?
And you're about to take a penalty shot.
You're about to win.
Yeah, do whatever championship it is, and yeah, like that's what you're focusing on. This complete nonsense. Or you wonder, I wonder if being ugly means you live longer. Is that nature's way? While you're driving along, your subconscious says, "I'll take the wheel here."
Is that something you've put thought into?
No. But I might next time I'm driving, because do you know, I have a point.
Yeah, tomorrow is food for thought while driving.
Yeah. Does ugly people live longer? It could be like nature's thing. Like, you know how David Beckham, he's like a hugely successful athlete, and he's like a model and everything, and then he has a really squeaky voice. It's like nature balances it out. Yeah. Yeah, because like...
Can you do an impression of him?
No. But imagine if we mess around the effects, we can get something similar. It's like high pitcher voice. But yeah, I think that is also a medical condition of being like, that's also a scientific fact that like nature's a way balancing everything out. Maybe like ugly people's trump card is that they live really long. More research is needed.
Definitely more research is needed than that one. Shite talk facts may not actually be facts.
Shocking. So like you might wonder, like, is this incredibly dangerous? And are we a danger to any motorist that is around us when we're driving, since we're constantly daydreaming while driving? And it mightn't be, but it might be. And there's like there's two schools of thought, and you guess you can just believe whatever you want. That's what I do normally, anyway. But a guy called Stuart Robertson, and he seems quite smart. He's a hypnotherapist in Edinburgh. He told the BBC, if anything, your reaction times are quicker because your subconscious is highly engaged in the environment. So that's one school of thought. And now, not everyone agrees with that. There's a Joshua Maxwell, who's an engineer at Hyundai and IKEA. Or Kia, not IKEA. Kia Technical Center in Michigan. He said zoning out definitely means your reaction times will be slower, and typically people who suffer from highway hyperness generally are tired, and when you're tired your reaction times are definitely slower. So it's more likely that your reaction times are going to be slower than if you're like fully concentrating on it. Which makes sense. Like, I'm pretty sure if it made you a better driver, you'd be having like Formula 1 drivers and professional race drivers like be hypnotized so they get into like a hypness state as soon as they like get into their car. They wouldn't be like concentrating. I wonder if that does though when you're driving in, like, especially Formula 1, because there's like 63 laps sometimes.
They just zone out.
Like, yeah, whenever this is like, the mind starts to wander.
That's how crashes happen in Formula 1.
them slightly going off track. And 4 people died.
I cut his head.
Exactly. I just wonder are they constantly like have to concentrate? I remember when I used to play the Formula 1 games, sometimes I used to put on the actual length race where you do 60 something laps, and the level of concentration that it took was
Why the fuck would you do that?
insane. Like, I had to pause it sometimes, get drinks of water. Like, my t-shirt would be sweating. It took so much concentration. I had very little else to be doing with my time back then.
I once played, you know that game Worms?
Yeah.
I once played that for 14 hours with my friend.
And at any point did you zone out?
Oh, probably.
Probably, yeah. You probably just played it on instinct. So, a few people were giving their own personal stories of, like, this happening to them. One person said, I ran a red light and quickly hit nobody because my brain shut down and went into, like, highway hyperness. Sometimes, like, a few of these stories, I did kind of feel like they were just blaming highway hyperness on them, just, like, being poor drivers.
I wonder, would you get away with it in court?
No. He said, lucky enough, there was no cameras and I didn't get any ticket, but that could have been the least of the worst outcomes that happened from it. And I remember something similar happened to me before, but it wasn't highway hyperness. It was just something completely different. So I was driving home with two of my friends and they distracted me by talking to some guy's legs that was standing at the side of the road, waiting to cross the road, waiting for lights to turn green for him to walk. And they're like, Jesus, look at the size of his legs. And I was kind of looking around, going, why are you staring at a guy's legs? Go, Jesus, they are quite big. And then I seen green at the side of my eye and presumed it was green for me to go, but it was like the pedestrian lights. It went green for like people to walk across my side because it was obviously red for me, but it was green for people to take right on the opposite side, and nearly caused a crash. And it's like halfway across the road, realised that it was a red light. It's like, geez, stop distracting me.
I done that during my driving test.
Oh, Jesus. Did you pass?
Yeah.
Fucking. Oh, I remember.
Your man was saying, because when I did it, like, I blocked up traffic.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, bollocks. And then when we got back to the test center, the guy was like, oh, I was going to fail you because you done that, but you seem to realise that you made a mistake.
That was nice of him.
So I'm going to pass you.
I was taking a right turn, and you know that box junction, like, so people can turn into a junction, people leave it clear?
Yeah.
So that was clear, and a car was approaching it, and he stopped and flashed me. So I turned right, and I took my hand off the wave to say, oh, cheers, not realising I was doing a test, and I took my hand off the wheel, so that was instant pink mark right there. I failed the first time. Yeah, person's kind of similar situation to your one, where he used to drive 30 minutes to work every day, and he got into his car, and then suddenly, like 20 minutes later, he was at the off-ramp of the Murray that he was meant to take for his exit, and had no recollection of driving either. So, like, yeah, apparently it's common enough. And, yeah, I don't know how. It'd be interesting, because obviously if you're involved in a crash and police come to, you're not going to turn around and say, oh, kind of like dazed off. I was kind of in my world of my own. Yeah, I was zoned out. Like, because like obviously you're going to get more trouble. But I wonder how many accidents a year are caused by highway hyperness.
There has to be at least one.
So yeah, that's our story about highway hyperness. And our next story actually comes from Reddit as well. And it's one, I don't know, I kind of presume that maybe you haven't had this, but maybe you've heard family members having sex. I don't know. But an angry neighbour stuck a USB drive full of sex noises as evidence to one of his neighbours' loud sex that he was having. And along with that, he took a note explaining how reverb worked. Has this ever happened? Have you ever heard of any stories of this? Like, there's definitely, like I said, this is very, very common. There's going to be people listening to or are in this situation where a roommate is constantly riding quite loudly or has lived through this.
I don't know. It's never happened to me. I know two lads that used to live together, and one of them was always at it.
Yeah, and did he like say anything to him, or what was his kind of? Did he just try?
Yeah, he used to say all sorts of stuff to him because he used to be like he'd be riding in the fucking like on the couch or he'd be riding in the fucking bathroom
I
and he'd be like, "Man, what the fuck are you
I
doing?"
think the couch is kind of a bit of a like. Okay, we have to sit there. I can kind of understand.
Yeah, like there was one story where he was like, "Man, I hope you took my my jacket off the couch," and he's like, "No."
No, her ass was all over that.
Yeah, it's like, "No, I left it there."
Yeah, I know. I know. You used to know this guy who was sharing a house with another guy, and he was downstairs with his girlfriend, and your man was upstairs with a girl as well. They were trying to watch a movie, and all they could hear was a light switch being flicked on, and a light switch being off. A light switch being flicked on, and this happened for like 15 minutes. He said it was just like light switch on, light switch off, light switch on, light switch off. So the next day he was like, "What were you doing messing with the lights?" And it turned out it wasn't lights. It was like him smacking her ass, but it was in just a very particular rhythm. It was just like it was the same rhythm. But he said what struck me was like the beat was just the same. It was just like.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, so he still got up saying like what he had done on Reddit, saying that he was sick and tired listening to his neighbour having sex, and after like speaking to them, the problem didn't really get any better. And his neighbour, he apparently lives in a condo. It's a type of building anyway, which is meant to make like the sound reverb around it, so you can be on the opposite side of the building, but it sounds like you're next door to them. And so he wasn't even next door neighbors. He lived in the same building. So he said he just felt sorry for the people who are directly beside him.
Well, how did he know that was the right apartment then?
He probably sussed out the sound. He probably, when they're like having sex, he just, where is this coming from? And just kind of.
So he went around, and this guy's getting creepy now.
It was already creepy when he like recorded them having sex, and like he stuck it on a USB drive.
Oh, like, yeah, sure. That's kind of creepy too.
Yeah, so like
but he's walking around trying to figure out where it was coming from.
Yeah, he must have, because like he said he's a next door neighbor to him. He said he felt sorry for like the people who are directly beside him, but he said like, look, I can hear you from where I am, so you're probably affecting multiple people in this building.
Just nobody else cares.
Yeah, well, no one's going to leave him this. So after speaking to him or them, he didn't say if it was boy or girl. They didn't stop, so he left an A4. A note which described in detail how, and with diagrams of how reverb works, and how living in a condo building means that you tend to be closer to your neighbours than you might as well like would want to be, and that they basically can hear everything that's going on.
He sounds like a bit of a bollocks.
He does sound like a bit of a dick. Like I've heard people like complaining about their friends or their roommates who would be like constantly riding or want a house free because they want to have their partner over, they like have sex and they don't want to be doing it in front of them, or like they had a headboard that would like bash off the like wall. That would make their sex sound so much louder than it actually had to be. Whether they had to go like to the shops or something, they just had to leave. But basically, he said that his 5-year-old daughter had asked him, "Why is that lady screaming outside?" And he couldn't really justify it by explaining how reverb went. Like, what would you do in that situation, though? Like, when you're around, you have a kid, and it's not like you can just ask your kid to stick on, oh, here, suddenly put on these sound-cancelling headphones. Because, like, if it was in that situation where if I could hear a neighbour I'd just put on music. I'd put on something to distract the sounds from like, just to drown out the sounds. Like, I know, or else put on sound cancelling headphones. But I guess if you have a daughter who's 5 and that's happening, you're kind of like, all right, I need to say to them.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Like I said, this is probably something maybe our listeners can get in touch with the show, and if this has happened to them, or if they know any stories like this, because this is very common. Like I know loads of people who would have been in similar situations, or maybe been told to quiet down by parents and stuff like this before in the past.
There's somebody that we both know that is a regular listener of the show.
Yeah.
Who has a neighbor that makes a lot of weird noises.
Is it sex noises or is this weird noises?
No,
in
it's
general?
just general weird, fucking disgusting, horrible noises.
Oh yeah, I remember I was staying over at my sister's house in Australia, and at 11 o'clock at night, someone was hammering. It sounded like someone was hammering wood. I was like, what the fuck is happening then? They're like, yeah, they always do this. It's like they leave it till like 11 o'clock at night to do their home renovations. I was like, what's fucking wrong with people? Yeah, but I guess people don't care.
People are just fucking mad.
Yeah, people are mad. And they don't respect people's privacies, and you don't respect people's borders. And that might mean your house border, or that might mean your country's border. Because we have a story for a farmer who didn't respect, was it France's border?
Yeah.
It was France's border and caused a bit of a diplomatic incident.
Yeah, so this Belgian farmer in, obviously, Belgium, he some field that he I'm assuming it's his field. I don't know why the fuck else he'd be out there. The border between Belgium and France is marked with stone markers, and he couldn't turn his tractor around because this fucking stone marker. So he actually just moved them. He moved the stone markers 2.25 meters, which turned out that he actually increased the size of Belgium and decreased the size of France. But it wasn't discovered for a while until a local group, like a local history group, went on like a hike, and they had maps obviously, and they were like, hang on, wait a minute, the border should be here somewhere, not over there. And the mayor of the village that this guy's from, like, he's like, well, my town has gotten bigger, so I don't care.
Yeah. He's like, I don't care. Yeah,
but like France is like, hey, give us back our fucking land.
You can't take our land here.
Yeah, because apparently this was this was contested land like years ago anyway. So it started a bit of a fucking row again.
I remember there's somewhere like that in Croatia, Slovakia, that kind of area of former countries, one country but now are like load of different ones. And there's like, is there like a river, and way the river works, I don't know, that thing where a river cuts on both sides and leaves a little island, but like that land is now like is formed in the middle of, because of the river is eroding on, because they usually use the river to mark out whose side of the border it is. So like, could be Serbia, I don't know. This is like where my geography fails me. Is on one side, and Croatia's on the other. But because a bit of Serbia's being like eroded, then Croatia's like, well, that's in the middle of the river, so we're claiming that land, that little island. They're like, no, that used to be ours. Same thing.
Like, there's this thing.
I know Serbia's not. No, I don't think Serbia and Croatia are actually.
I have no idea. I'm staying away from that one.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
The border between France and Belgium was established in 1819.
Yeah.
After like a whole load of like war and shit about it. So they actually signed a treaty.
Imagine all that debt, and then it's just like a pole or a few bricks, and go, okay, that solves that problem.
Yeah. So they signed a treaty about it, right? And if the farmer refuses to move the stone back, and like the mayor of the village refuses to acknowledge that, this needs to, like, we need to give this land back to France. There's a clause in the treaty where they actually have to establish a commission made up of members of the French and the Belgian governments to like determine where the fuck the border is.
Yeah, but like, surely if it's in the middle of a person's field, that person that now owns that land, so he bought it off the Belgian country, it wouldn't be easier to say, like, okay, all that land in his field is now Belgium, and he'll pay his taxes in Belgium, because there's like fields in Ireland that are split 50-50, like his house is in the south and his farm is in Northern Ireland. There's like, it goes right across the border, and you can just pick then whether or not you want to be part of the north or whether you want to pay your taxes to the south.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't know if this farmer, like, if he, or like what he was doing, if it was actually his land or he was just like having a crack.
He just needed to move his tractor around. It couldn't be arsed reversing a bit.
Yeah, like, there's no real info on what the fuck he was actually doing.
But like, is it that important, that few bricks? Like, now all the technology that we have, where we can just like, we can put a GPS tracker. Like the bricks were only like ceremonial. Surely we've moved past bricks. Surely a few bricks over the like slightly to the left, or 100 meters to the left, or wherever he moved the border. Like, surely that shouldn't mean like that's where the border is. We can map it out on GPS maps.
Maybe the stones have GPS trackers in them.
Yeah, that would solve that. Maybe
that's how they figured it out. They're like, hang on.
Couldn't they put the GPS trackers, dig a hole and put them under there? So they're underground then.
And then you just get the farmer digging them up.
Yeah, fucking them out. I wanted to plant a tree there. I thought the bricks were in your way, but the tree won't be.
It's only a small tree.
It's only a small tree. I can drive over. Yeah, that's mad. Oh, your man's causing eruptions. So how am I meant to use my tractor?
You're anti-farmer.
Yeah, exactly. He'd have a union on his case now. There'd be protests.
It'll be a fucking farmer strike.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's mad. And we must move on, because I have a weird story. And this has happened in Pennsylvania. This is a story that almost made it to our Idiots of the Week. And it very much still could be. When I first read it, I just thought it was like kind of an interesting story, and then I realized there's more of it happens. And this probably happened to you quite a lot, actually. Not what he finds in the parcel, but just parcels arriving to your door that's not yours.
Yeah, that happens every fucking day.
Yeah, man. So this could happen to you one day. A man who accidentally received a parcel that was meant for his neighbour got a bit shocked when the box fell open. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And what he found inside of it was a whopper-sized dildo. So Cody Wanamaker. Wanamaker.
Spell it.
Wanamaker. Wanamaker?
Who the fuck knows?
Cody Wanamaker, 27, from Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
You got that bit right.
Yeah. Saw a package outside his house and assumed it was for like someone in his family. So brought it inside. Didn't have his glasses on. This is why he said he couldn't see what was on the package. And as he picked up the box, it just opened. This is why he's obviously telling people now. It just opened and out fell a giant dick. He says, to make matters worse, he doesn't really has ever spoken to his neighbour.
That's brilliant.
who was like the intended recipient of the sex toy, and like he said that to make matters worse, I'd find it fairly more awkward if I knew the neighbor very well or kind of well, and
Yeah.
I had to like potentially be caught dropping off a parcel of like a giant dildo to their house, or had to like picture them using said giant dildo. I'd way prefer not having to put a face to the name.
Or a vein. A face to the vein.
Yeah, so like he explained, like basically he came home from work, the parcel was at his doorstep. He didn't have his glasses on, so he basically thought it was for someone in his household. When he went to take up and bring it inside, the bottom fell out through it, and he just stood there looking at it, shocked. It was just so
basically what he did was he brought it inside, he opened it,
yeah.
then he was like, oh.
Holy shit, what is this? Yeah, because he said he just stood looking at it. It was just so big.
Yeah, so he ordered it. He opened it. Whoever lives in the house with him was like, what the fuck did you get that for? And he's like, oh, not mine.
Well, I don't think that is the case. Wait till we get to the end of the story, because it gets a lot worse. So basically, the dildo was 14 inches long. It was black and had attached balls. So it had a real autistic feel, I guess. Like I seen a picture of it. It's a fucking massive dick. See, seasoned vet, obviously.
Oh Jesus!
I guess, like, what would you do in that scenario? You arrive home, the package accidentally opens, a giant dick falls out, and do you try to repackage it? Because like if you try to like package it up, it looks like maybe someone had tampered with the box.
What you do is you open or you package it back up and you write on it "opened by customs."
Yeah, that might be a way to do. Like I'd have to like deliver the package at night to their house when I knew they were sick, because I couldn't be like have any chance of a scenario where potentially I arrive into their driveway holding their package, and like they come out to greet me like, what is this? Why are you at my door? And I'm like, oh, that just came for you. And then they seen that it was like partially sealed back up. Like I'd just die of embarrassment.
Just wait till they're not there and leave it on the doorstep.
Yeah, so that's what I think his intended idea was. So he attempted to rewrap the box and leave it off at his neighbour's gaff, hoping that they weren't there, I guess. But it kind of went a bit wrong. Because he left it at the wrong house.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Maybe that's how he ended up with it.
Maybe.
It was just getting passed around.
So that's definitely not ideal. And he kind of, like at that stage, I'd be like, it's somebody else's problem. I think that's the way he took it as well. I think he was like, oh, well, I tried. I fucked up, but I tried. And yeah, he said when he delivered it to his neighbour's house, and like you could see him, he saw him walking out and picking up the box. And at this stage, most of his street have seen the contents of this box. Because like the house that obviously he was delivering it was on the opposite side of his road, so you probably could see. It's like wait till like the neighbour comes out to the driveway, staring at the window, seeing if like he looks inside.
Wrong neighbour. Shit.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be so funny. Imagine if that was you. How mortified you would have known if like your entire neighbourhood knows that like you're just obsessed with like a giant dick.
With attached balls.
With attached balls. Yeah, exactly. Like a dildo would be embarrassing, but this thing was a giant dildo.
Oh, the whole like neighbour would be looking at like, I'm assuming it was a girl that got it, would be like looking at her like boyfriend or her husband or whatever, going, "You fucking prick."
Well, yeah. Well, do you know what? Maybe you could pass off as like, it was a joke present for one of my friends.
Yeah, let's spend like €700 on this fucking thing.
Well, the back door wasn't fully sealed. Someone, more than likely, because like that would have been like sent to like a sorting office. Yeah, then that might be sent to another sorting office, and then it was sent to his house. 100%. That wasn't the first time that package accidentally opened. If like he picked it up and the contents just like popped out.
Yeah, that's why you just write on it "opened by customs" and send it off.
Yeah, exactly. It could have been like a concealed weapon.
Technically, it was.
Yeah. Well, 14 inches, you could definitely use that as a baton. Yeah, so it's actually now time for our Idiots of the Week.
Dun dun dun.
This is part of the show created for idiots, by idiots, and it's where we talk about people doing really dumb things. And we actually only have one Idiot of the Week.
Yeah, and it's iffy whether or not she's an idiot.
I don't know. If I lose a child, like, I kind of like, okay, that's bad. If I lose a grown adult, I don't know. I would like, how do you lose a grown adult?
We can get into it. I will explain.
All right.
So this woman in, I don't know, it has to be America, really, didn't it? It kind of has to be.
Yeah, I like.
I don't know where else the fuck it would be. I'm going to
Maybe
go with
Russia. Okay, you say America. I'll say Russia.
America.
Do you know that their podcast is covered?
She was completely like, baffled because her boyfriend of 2 years just all of a sudden stopped answering her phone calls, stopped answering her text messages, just completely disappeared off the face of the planet. So she she says they had discussed like getting married and having children, and then when
after 2 years.
Yeah, they talked about all this kind of shite, and then when the pandemic hit, he he just stopped talking to her.
Maybe he got the coronavirus,
and
maybe he was patient zero.
She said the last thing he said to her was that he thought he had COVID.
Yeah.
So she was like, "All right, so he must be going to hospital or getting checked, whatever." And then she got nothing back from him, so she got really worried, and she contacted the police after a week. And like she had been calling the hospitals, the local hospitals, and hospitals were like, "No, there's nobody here with that name and stuff." So she contacted the cops, and she filed a missing person report. And they went off and they looked for him and checked it out and stuff. And they came back and they told her that nobody with that name or them like details actually exists.
All right. So like, surely after 2 years, you've met friends, or you've met family members, or you met someone who also knows that person. So surely the next protocol is to contact someone who they know and said, like, what's the story with insert person? Why haven't I heard that back from him? How's the COVID?
How's the COVID? Yeah, yeah, like that's
have they died? Kind of a thing.
But I'm assuming she must have done this, like, and was told, like, no, he's fine.
Really? Would you like if I like? Would it, your first instance after a family/friend member says no, he's fine. Okay, well, I'm gonna file a missing person report.
Yeah, then maybe like
maybe they haven't heard from him.
Did you ever have like a friend that like broke up with a girl and was like, oh, if she contacts you, tell her like I moved away or that you don't know where I am or.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't think they personally told me that, but like, I have never had to get contacted by someone's ex either. In fairness,
like I've definitely been like, yeah, I don't know where where he is. He's gone.
But like, did you jump to, okay, it's now time to file a missing persons report?
Yeah, so like maybe all his friends were like, no, we haven't heard from him.
Yeah, which would be like, all right. Do you think that's not like a bit odd? And they'd be like, no, that's just like, I know one of my friends just loses his phone, will just go off grid, like not to be heard of. Like if he wants you, he'll contact you, kind of thing.
I think everybody has a friend like that.
Yeah, but yeah, it seems odd that after 2 years he didn't contact a family member and say, how is such and such? Have
But
they
then,
got back together?
at the same time, if he was using, like the cops said, nobody with them details existed. So like he's using a fake name and stuff. So maybe she actually never did meet any friends.
Maybe she's had the boyfriend equivalent to highway hypnosis. And
Maybe
she was actually single this whole entire time, but it was her like subconscious was imagining this lad. Kind of like, you know, that movie where his best friend's Hitler.
His best friend is Hitler.
Yeah, it's like a child. It's set like in World War
What?
II, where like his best friend is Hitler. Jojo Rabbit is the name of it.
I've never seen that.
Oh, it's on Netflix. That's your homework for this week. It's like, watch Jojo Rabbit. It's so good.
His best friend is Hitler.
His best friend's Hitler. He's a Nazi, and it's about him growing up in his like own imagination and how.
Wait, who's the Nazi? Hitler or this guy?
Well, Hitler's also a Nazi, but it's set in Germany. A young boy whose best friend's Hitler, who loves being a Nazi and loves everything about being a Nazi, and goes to, like, Hitler youth camp and all, and learns how to control like those, not grenades, but you know, they're long cylinder things. It's so funny. It's so well done.
Still grenades.
Oh, fair enough.
It wasn't the last Pope, was it?
No, it's called Jojo Rabbit.
Because he was in Hitler Youth.
Maybe he turned out to be the Pope. Like it's so funny. Like it's really good. It's like one of the best movies I've seen last year. I know it didn't come out last year, but I only seen it like last year.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it. I have to check that out.
Yeah, see, that's my homework for everybody. Even if you have seen it, just rewatch it. But yeah, because this is so funny. Back to your one. Like, is there a chance that she is just a bit of a mentaler, and or are you falling down on the side of where you think she was basically kind of catfished almost? Your man was pretending to be someone for 2 years.
I'd say it's probably a bit of both, because she
kind of imagined it, but like he wasn't real, but or he was sort of real. Like, I don't know how he kind of
like, she's definitely a bit mental, because she looks like she's in her 30s and she has a TikTok account.
Yeah, that is a clear sign that you're completely bonkers. All right.
Yeah, that's a clear sign of some sort of mental illness.
Yeah, you have a crying for help at that stage.
Yeah,
and like, has she like checked? Is his like phone active? You know how you can check the last time a person was on something. Not that anybody does that. I certainly don't.
So now we know what you would be at.
Ken still hasn't messaged back, but he was active like 2 minutes ago. Yeah, but I just don't understand how you can go out with a person for 2 years, and like the point where you're talking about having children with this person, and the person is agreeing to potentially in the future marry you, and then just like I haven't took the chance now to like reach out to his family members to see if he's call around to his house, or like just, I don't know, yeah, like call around to his house would be the next obvious thing, just as like knocking on and saying, "Here, is everything all right?"
Like, people have given their take on what they think happened, like, and there's people saying stuff like, He must be married. He's a serial killer.
See, if he's a serial killer, he wouldn't ignore her. He would spend a lot of time with her in the woods, and then like he'd just bury her. Like,
Okay, hang on. I just read more about this. So this gets even better.
all right,
So somebody actually questioned her and asked, "Did you never meet any of his family or friends?"
yeah, obvious question.
And she explained, "Oh, yeah, she's definitely mental."
Yeah, go on.
So their relationship is a long distance relationship, and she's only ever met him at a hotel.
All right, so this one time,
He's married, like.
100% he's married, or like he was just playing the really long game. He's like, I'm gonna get to know her. She's like, I'm only looking for a serious relationship. Yeah, I'm not into hookups. And he's like, yeah, me too, babe. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I would love to get married. I want like loads of kids. And then they go to a hotel, they hook up, and they're like, see it.
Yeah, he buys her a 14-inch dildo that he delivers to the wrong house.
So like, they're obviously like being in a long. It's just like over COVID, or this was before COVID that they met, and then like they hooked up, and he was like, see it. I have COVID.
I have COVID.
Bye. Yeah, so like that is weird. I think she's definitely a legit idiot of the week.
Yeah. Well, after reading the rest of it, yeah, she 100% is.
And what did anyone respond to that? Like, what was the next person's comment after she said, I haven't seen him for 2 years?
I don't know. That's kind of where the article ended.
All right, well, fair enough. Like, imagine after just having an online relationship with a person, and like, can you really actually say that you're actually in a relationship with a person you've never met before? Except
for hotel.
Yeah, like that one time that you met. I don't know. That seems a bit odd. I think she is mental. And you're kind of right. It's a bit of both worlds there.
Yeah, she kind of half made up the relationship.
She half made up the relationship. He half made up his identity, but he actually was based off a real person, kind of like the Bible.
Like, I wonder when she reported to the cops. Like, maybe the cops did find him. And he was like, "Oh, she's just absolutely fucking mental." Yeah, they were like, "Okay, hey, we got your back, dude. We got your back.
Here, cover for me." Yeah, no, sorry, I could never find a person by that name.
Yeah, never found him. Sorry.
Yeah, that is. That could be a possibility. And yeah, maybe our listeners, maybe he is one of our listeners. Wouldn't that be odd?
That would be great.
That would be great. Get in touch if you are. But for now, we've ran out of time and ran out of stories. We'll be back next week with another show and more idiots, more talk on our 191 show.
Dun dun dun.
The air's getting thin. It's hard to breathe. Talk to you then.
Good luck.
Shut up and sit down.